Conservation Committee meeting of, let's see, what's today's date? April 10th, 2025, open. Recording and taping notification is required by the law. The town may audio or video record this meeting. Any person intending to either audio or video record this open session is required to inform the chair. Anybody planning on recording anything? Good, all right. Welcome, everybody. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on. We don't have the minutes, so we will not be approving the minutes. Let's move on to new business, which is the any open Community Preservation Committee projects, update status reports. I just wanted to say to the applicants that anybody who submitted updated paperwork, we all did receive the reports. We read them all, so we don't need you to reread them to us, okay? So I'm going to keep it short and sweet for updates. So moving on, let's move to the Brooks Academy Museum Commission. Sean?
Good evening, Sean Libby, Facilities Maintenance Manager for the town. As you can see, our project has zero monies obligated to this point and zero money expended, so I can give a history of why we're at this point and where we're going to go.
Sure.
Okay, keep it short.
Keep it short.
So I don't think it's any secret that the project was on hold at my request for basically to get some savings and cost efficiencies through not having redundant work done. Doing that, we came up with the rest of the work that needed to be done. We thought we were going to get it before last town meeting. It didn't happen. It is on this year's warrant. So hopefully on May 5th, we'll have the project approved, and we're already moving ahead right now with some money that I have got in another account with the OPM. So we'll be ahead and we'll be able to start hopefully July 1st.
Okay, and I saw then your report that you were going to hire a project manager?
Yes, that's a requirement because it's over $1 million. So that's the project manager I'm talking about. We've already got a quotes, and hopefully we'll have a contract this week, next week.
How much does that cost usually?
That's $66,000 was his quote.
Okay, all right. Does
That won't come out of this money.
Yeah. Does anybody on the board have any questions? No? All right, thanks for submitting the report.
Thanks.
Coming. Thanks. Okay, the Community Development Partnership, Lower Cape Cod Community Development Corporation. Hi.
I was unable to submit financials. Our CFO was out. Would you like our budget?
If you have it, sure. We'd love it.
Okay. These are stacked together. There's 3 pages. Okay. Is it okay if I sit here, or do you want me to?
Nope, you're right there is fine. Just identify yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Amanda Bedbrin. I'm the Director of Housing Advocacy at the Community Development Partnership. I won't reiterate the whole program since you've heard this song and dance from me a couple of times, but we are well underway in our 2024-2025 curriculum. So this year, so far for FY25, we've had 10 attendees from Harwich. This is up 1 from this time last year, which was 9. And additionally, I dug into the data, and there are another 5 people who registered from Harwich, but maybe for scheduling reasons couldn't attend, but they received the materials. And then that, on top of that, that also includes 3 new registrants from Harwich. We've had 65 new registrants this year from across the region, which is really great. I think we're capturing a lot of new board and committee members. I'm happy to talk about any of our program offerings, but I will also plug one of your handouts is our final workshop of this curriculum year, which is going to be on smart growth, or 40R. This is a topic that attendees have been asking about, that they're interested in. They want to know if there are ways that their municipalities can take advantage of it and just weren't quite sure how to access the resources. So we're doing a whole workshop on it. I have Bill Ryelt from the state coming to talk about it. We have a case study from another town in Massachusetts. It's going to be an awesome session. So I included the flyer in your handouts as well. That is on Tuesday. These sessions are free of charge. They're on Zoom. I ask that people pre-register so that I have good data for you at things like this. But if you're unable to attend, register anyways, and I send out all the materials afterwards. I'll leave it there, and if there's anything that you'd like to ask me, I'm open for questions.
Okay, open to the committee. Anybody have anything that they'd like to ask of the CDP?
Go for it. No.
Bob?
No.
Ladies?
You're doing a great job.
My only question is I just got the latest munis report, and the money has not been withdrawn yet, and was available July 1st, 2024. 4.
Let me check with that's a finance department.
Typically have been running late. I talked to Jay about this a couple years ago, so
Okay,
I think if you.
we've got a brand new CFAO, so.
Okay, I think
That
if you
is
want the
radar.
money, get it. And the other last thing I'd say is that at town meeting, usually we ask the applicants to have someone there
Yep.
to answer any questions.
Absolutely, someone from the team will be in attendance.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, just in time, the Affordable Housing Trust. And you missed my opening remark was that we've received your write-up, and so we don't need a reiteration of that, just,
Well, I wanted to say that I'm Larry Ballantyne, the chair of the Affordable Housing Trust.
Brendan Lowney.
Brendan Lowney, and we just came from a Affordable Housing Trust meeting, so quite exciting. Thank you. I won't, let me just summarize the documents, and thanks for hearing us out. Our annual report, and I first mentioned who our members are. Brendan obviously is a member. Bob Spencer, Claudia Williams, and Julie Kavanaugh is our select board representative on the trust. And I'm grateful that we have a very engaged and passionate, we were yelling at each other tonight, so very passionate
Yes.
committee. Briefly, as of the end of January, I've asked Megan Green to give me reports every 6 months on the financial. I don't think we need it, monthly or more often, but as of the January 27th, our trust balance was $1.1 million. Our other source of funding, we get, sits in a spatial purpose stabilization fund, which receives money from the rooms tax. Town meeting a couple years ago voted to give 25% of those tax funds to the affordable housing activity. They voted to give 25% to wastewater. So we also get, in 2023, we received $400,000 as a town, at the annual town meetings as an article going into the trust fund. And then we have interest income of a little over $14,000. So our stabilization fund for affordable housing was $2.2 million. The way the process was set up to work is that the money goes from the tax income into the stabilization fund, and then it has to go back to town meeting to move the money from the stabilization fund into the trust fund. I appeared before the select board a month ago, I guess, and they they decided not to transfer all the money from the stabilization fund into the trust fund. They agreed to transfer 1.5 million of this 2.2. Quite frankly, I don't understand that exactly. I think there was probably, I don't, with due respect, I think there might have been some confusion of what that money's dedicated to, and there's a sense, as they're watching spending overall town, they didn't want to give all the money to the trust for whatever other purpose, but that money's dedicated to the trust. I assume at some time it will come over. What that means then is at present, we have $3.1 million available to us. And we've requested through you fine folks $500,000 at this town meeting to move into the housing trust. Our ongoing projects, we're working presently on 456 Clean Ann Road development. And that's what we're meeting on coming into this. Hopefully we'll sign the agreements to move that, to start that project officially. It's been awarded to them, but we have to go through land disposition and land use and ground disposition contracts with them first. I see Bruce Young is here. We've helped support three units at 205 Bank Street, the old fire station. We gave them $476,000. And I put this in for affordable housing. That's, in layman's terms, in some ways, that's cheap money. It's $158,000 per unit for three one-bedroom apartments. We've provided grant support for 5 Bell's Neck development for two one-bedroom apartments, 1 two-bedroom apartment. We committed just over $600,000. 480 of that have been spent to date. That's giving us 3 units at about over $200,000 per unit. And John Kerry in our project is building in that development 7 market rate apartments. So there'll be a total of 10 apartments. 3 will be affordable, 7 will be market rate. Interesting enough, the way the state works, we get credit for all 10. Because the rule is you have 20% of affordable, if you're developing a project. And we've recently granted $150,000 for pre-construction costs of what John Kerry's putting together for West Harwich Square. That's a much bigger project. He's looking at 30 market rate apartments and 10 affordable apartments at a total cost of about $10 million. His request of us, we think, we're still in the draft stage, will be around $1.8 million, which would cost $180,000 per affordable unit. And the rest of that will be money coming from elsewhere for market rate apartments. We will be updated on that. Actually, we have a meeting next week to be updated on that. We also used part of the trust money last year, $150,000. We voted to provide assistance for renters needing help. That was a 3-year contract with Homeless Prevention Council. And right now they're helping 6 families. And so we're looking at that $150,000 per 3 years. Obviously, it's about $50,000 a year. We're about $37,000 and it's costing us for these 6 families. We could provide help for maybe 1 or 2 additional families before we've run out of those funds for rental assistance. The last document I gave you, and I won't spend time on this now, is a listing of those properties that we own, the trust owns, because we're in the process of reviewing those again to which makes most sense to keep to build on. Are any of those properties would make better use of to sell and take the money for other uses? And we keep going back and forth on that because we don't want to give up any properties that has value for housing, but a couple of them may be not enough buildable area to be economical. When you get into affordable housing, it's, in some ways, as you all know, it's a bit of a numbers game. You have to build enough units so the developers can make it work. And so, actually say, that's a summary, Kathy. It went longer than I know you wanted, but.
Oh, that's okay. That's pretty good for you. Brendan, did you have anything you wanted to throw
No,
in there?
he's got it covered.
Okay.
But Brendan's here to answer the tough questions.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's take some questions from the board. Art?
I don't have any direct questions. I think there's a good document here produced, Larry, and I think spells out everything you've been doing and speaks for itself. Thank you.
All right, Bob?
Nothing, thank you.
Marcy?
I'm all set. You guys doing great work.
Emily?
All set. Appreciate the thorough update.
What's that?
Jeez, I've got questions, I always do, right?
She always does.
Oh,
You'd be disappointed if I
I
didn't,
would.
right?
But Mary disappointed me anyway.
Just a quick thing. So, Brendan, you were at the Rios meeting.
Yes.
A couple weeks
Thanks
ago.
for having me, Tiff.
And when I reread the minutes from the Rios meeting, there was a statement from you that said that it takes between 5 and 9 years to start building.
Correct.
And I was like, my first response was, well, that can't be right. And then my clerk said that it was a direct quote. So could you just explain that, like, so everybody understands that?
So if you take a look at the 456 Queen Anne Road, when we purchased that property, RFP developer, they're gonna submit, get their eligibility letter, possibility they get denied the first time in the first year cycle, second year cycle, then you start building a project that's gonna have 40, 50, 60 units, 3-year build. So those years will add up. So just the build and the application process with the state is 5 years. And then depending, but from purchasing the land and, you're talking 5 to 9 years for a project that size.
Okay. The second thing I noticed was that you listed on some of the paperwork that there were X amount of units that were going to be coming off of the shy list. Okay, from Pine Oaks and something else. And I was wondering
I don't
what was
re-
being done to sort of,
I don't recall that.
okay.
So
Maybe not.
there is a current
There
list.
there is a list of, I think
I don't have that list on me, but on that list.
Okay, expiring shy to track, Pine Oaks Village, 38 units, and
Correct.
33 Route 28, 11 units.
Yeah, so Davenport and Pine Oaks Village, those are the units that are coming up in the maybe next few years, but it's something that we're monitoring. So I just put as a placeholder, there is a bigger sheet that shows all of the units that we have in town, and it shows, are they in perpetuity, is it 30 years, it's gonna be all different years.
What's the process for trying to
I think,
renegotiate these, or is that a possibility?
yeah, we had Pine Oaks and Davenport come to the table, it must have been probably a year and a half ago, and it's all about renegotiating that. I think in Pine Oaks, they already had a lot of, I'm not saying it's tough to change, who you're bringing in at market rate. Most of the people are locked in. So I don't, we'd have to just renegotiate with them. That's what it comes down to. And how do we do that? We'll have to just bring it back
Have we
to the
had
table.
success
Yeah.
in the past? Because, I mean, losing 40-something
Not since
units
I've been
kind of
here.
offsets everything that
Yeah.
we've done.
yeah,
Sorry, I didn't have a clear answer there, but we just haven't gone through that process yet. And how do we get someone to the
Okay.
table? We had them come once, we talked about maybe starting it over, but there would be some exchange in dollars, I would assume, for them to do that, so.
yeah. And, okay, it does ring a bit of a bell now, because we did get a listing from the assessor's office on those coming off.
Yeah, yeah,
A
I
month
just don't have it
ago.
on me, the list, yeah.
And in my previous life, we did talk about this a little bit, because it may come down to negotiations of putting money into it to maintain them on the shy list as restricted, and we never, hasn't gone beyond that. And so, I don't know what else to say about it. It'll have to be
Okay.
negotiated, and then we may have to come up with some money to keep them
Yeah.
restricted.
And that might come up on one of our applications in future years, how we're gonna save if we have to spend some money to keep them on another 30 years or 99, well, not 30 years
Okay.
plus.
Mary, did you want to say something?
I was just gonna say, I thought some of Pine Oaks had been extended from, in previous years, maybe 5 years ago or so, Bob?
Yes, it was.
It was,
There was a little mistake on that it was up last year, but I
Right,
believe it's
it was.
2027.
28, I
28.
think.
So
27
there was a
on
little
the list.
misprint on that one sheet that
Alright.
everyone was
Yeah.
like, let's focus on that. So
Yeah,
that's why it
yeah.
kind of fell to the wayside, so we're not in any negotiations.
I thought there was some back in like 2018 or 2019 that it
Oh,
got
those,
extended.
that was Pine Oaks 1.
One.
That
Okay.
was, we
thank
renegotiated
you.
a mortgage, and then with that came the restriction.
Okay.
yeah.
I think
Thanks,
that's
Bob.
another 20 or 30 years.
That's gonna be a new process for us
But that's
when
it,
we do
but
it.
that's
That's
a
what I
good
was just going to
question,
ask
Yeah.
you.
because we need to keep track of, we may have to reserve some money for that as well to make it happen.
Right, right.
That was certainly pre-Affordable Housing Trust.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we realized that, okay. Another question, I know you've mentioned in the past that, just sort of getting this RP signed with Penrose and, starting the process is not sort of maybe the end of the financial resources that they may be requiring. You've said before that there may be additional funding that they may ask for to offset costs. Is that true? Or is it just the
Can we talk about
purchase
that?
of the,
I don't know if it.
do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
Like, okay,
exactly.
you got the
There's a
land.
possible- Most developers will come to the table and ask for CPC funds, very similar to what 19 West did in Orleans, the old Cape Cod 5 building, where they were asking for money. Even though they're coming in as a developer, what they're doing is they want to bring the town, they want CPC funds, they want affordable housing trust funds. So when they do their 40B, it's a friendly 40B. It's more attractive to the state, eligibility letter, and getting the funding. So if the state knows that there's a developer that's working with the town, there's a possibility that application gets approved, as opposed to a hostile 40B situation that could get tied up in zoning issues.
But in
But-
the paperwork now, the proposal with Penrose, is that sort of scoped out as of yet?
There's some,
If you're allowed
the
to
short
say.
the short answer is no, because there's some assumptions that may or may not take place on how much they get for tax credits, what they get from the mortgage rates, and so on. So we don't know exactly where she'll, we're optimistic it's not going to be much, but we don't know that. And it's still, and even after it's negotiated, we won't know exactly till they move further down with the friendly 40B. They go to zoning and start the process of applying to the state.
Okay.
And I can't go,
So we're doing our ground
even
lease
if I
and
was-
our land agreements right now with them, and all that will pan out. So we're just right in the middle of that
Yeah, I
negotiation.
just didn't know if we had like an idea of like funding requests down the road.
not yet.
Is it like, do they ask like $10,000 a unit and there's like 60 units, so that's 600, however, whatever this
We don't
works
know
out to
that
be.
yet.
Okay, all right.
I
And my
mean-
last question, okay,
Yes.
has to do with the stabilization fund.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
all right.
Okay. I read what you'd said about them granting the 1.5. And, my first response was, well, geez, why aren't they giving him all the money, like you had said?
Right.
And then I was thinking that, I know there was some kind of a discussion at one time that because of the limits of what you can give associated with the 80% or lower, and that maybe if they wanted to address more workforce housing, for lack of a better word, that they were gonna save some of that money to maybe use for something like that. That was,
Right.
I was
And-
thinking that might be, they were thinking.
Yeah, and that was a discussion that we had a bit at the meeting. Because the problem they have with it is that, we had I'm trying not to be this long-winded. The low and moderate income housing is not defined by us as a town. It's not defined by the state. It's defined by the federal government in HUD, that, it's up to 100% of the area medium income. And so I know there was a movement last spring's town meeting to expand the definition of affordable housing to 200%. And that's was sent to the State House, and if you track that in the State House, that hasn't gone out. It's got out of committee, but hasn't gone further. And I think that's because somebody realized that that wasn't state money. That was pass-through money from the federal government, and they defined it. And so, my proposal at the selectmen's meeting, or select board meeting, excuse me, get it right, select board meeting, was instead of trying to fight HUD and all these definitions, the more reasonable article would be to ask for town funds to go into a separate fund for so-called, now the favorite language seems to be attainable language, up to 120%. And give that to the, through the Housing Assistance Corporation as advisors, but give that to the select board to process, because that's outside of our lane as affordable housing. And I actually asked, with permission of Joel and Julie at the time, asked John Giorgio to prepare an article for me to maybe direct that, because we need all housing. And And John Giorgio got back to me, as only lawyers can, I think, with a 2-page memo of why that was a stupid idea. And his reasoning was that there's a lot of activity going on now with the housing plan at the state. There's the Seasonal Communities Act that may do something with that. And so I've continued those discussions. My intent is still come back again and say if there's another fund that we can do. Because I think the idea of using funds that have already been designated to affordable housing as it's defined and try to mess with that is not going to happen. There's too many legal barriers involved with that. But we need to worry about housing, for those, because we all know a lot of people that work for a living, that need housing, but we also know a lot of people are just above that 100% margin that we need to figure out a way to help. I haven't given up on that, but it's a separate discussion.
And then just add to that, your guidelines, the CPC allows you to do up to 100% AMI. Once you give it to us, we're doing 80% or less, and that's defined in your own guidelines. Once you
Right.
transfer it to our entity, it goes back to
Right.
section 55C, blah, blah, blah. So it always comes back to 80%. Whether that money is used later for something that the select board comes up with and gives a charge to the housing committee to
But-
create some kind of rental assistance above, 80%, then that money could be used.
Just to flush that out, it's because of the trust documents that define you folks as doing 80%.
Well, the shy list of the state, you have to hit the 80%, or an average
Right.
of.
Average
So
of
that
80,
that comes
so
from the
that's,
state.
Right.
Our docs.
But if we give, but any money that you folks in the trust manage, I thought the Affordable Housing Trust was defined as doing 80%.
it is, on average. We can go up to 100%.
You
but-
can, okay.
We
but
go to
yeah.
100%, but, so low
So you go
to
ahead.
moderate is up to 100%.
Okay.
But if we want to get on the shy list and affect
has to
that
be
5% that we're just under, that's, we want to hit the 80% or less average. So that's kind of where that comes from.
So,
Okay.
so the
But it all
con-
goes back to how the municipalities were allowed to set up a trust. That language is there. Now, our documents
Defined.
have a little bit of change in what we've added, and, we have to meet with the housing committee once a year. That's what we added. But that comes
But-
directly from 55C.
Right.
So that
Right, from
is
the
the description. They define low to moderate, then you go low to moderate underneath your guidelines. It sits right in there in, is it 44? Anyways, chapter
I think
44.
yeah,
It's right in definitions. It tells you exactly what low to moderate, and that's where you see it. So when you talk
My-
about low to moderate housing, that's what it really is.
Okay.
My,
And that's affordable.
my disagreement is that both the town meeting and moving the funds from the rental tax that was designated for affordable housing as defined by HUD. The special purpose fund that was moved into, if you read the article, was defined the same way. And so for us to go back and say, well, we didn't mean it, we're going to use it for things other than affordable housing as defined by HUD, is going to be, I don't see that happening. I don't see why we wouldn't be challenged of that. And so my preference, as I said then, was, okay, let's not fight that battle. Let's see if there's a way we can designate some funds for, attainable housing that's outside those. Because we should be able to do both. We need both. Long-winded answer, Kat, sorry.
But it'd
Yeah.
be tough to do. So if you look at Provincetown, they actually created a separate trust where it's taxpayer funded, and they do over 100% AMI help. But that's completely different than what the
Right.
state set up for the municipalities
And-
to accept and create the trust.
Yeah.
So
And-
we're under the governance of that.
And that was my suggestion, that we do that. We do something like that.
All right, well, I thank you for the report and for the transparency, and, the reporting is 100% better than it ever used to be, so we're happy about that, so thank you. We're good?
Good, we're good, yeah, you're good.
All right,
Thank you.
all right. I just wanted to make one change under the open CPC projects. There is one typo. It should say Harwich Conservation Trust, not Department. Harwich Cemetery Department.
So Robin Kelly, Cemetery Administrator. So I gave you my report. The only thing that's changed since the report that I mailed to you guys is that we did get the bid documents in for the South Harwich gravestone project, and the bid was awarded at $19,500 to John Fougere. You guys appropriated $23,000, so it came under. So that was the only other additional update that I had from my report. Do you guys have any questions on my initial report?
Yeah, anybody have any questions? No. Send, table, no? The War Memorials project,
Yep,
the report was similar to last time, so
Right,
what
so
has
it's-
happened in the last 6 months?
so in the last 6 months, I've been meeting with the town of Dennis, town of Eastham. So I had originally, I was up to 450 veterans. By cross-referencing with them, I took off 35 so far. I have to meet with the town of Yarmouth. That's going to be coming up. And Becky from the town of Dennis had somebody else, some lady, Diane or something, that I'm supposed to meet from their historic commission, just to make sure that we're not putting names on two different memorials, because they're doing theirs and we're doing ours. On most of our veterans, it's pretty clear cut and try, because we have their pension files or their DAR files or their SAR files. But on the ones that just were in the history of Harwich, it lists them as Harwich soldiers. But then when you go and get other records, where they were born, where they were married, or it can be like they belonged to Chatham. So we just want to make sure we're not paying to have somebody's name on our memorial that was actually meant for, like, say, Chatham. The list should be finished by the end of the month, and then we're going to publish it in the Chronicle, so that way other people, not just the people that I've been in contact with, but everyone could take a look at it and make sure that maybe we're not missing anybody, or we're misspelling Eldridge wrong, or anything like that before we go and put it, because once it's in granite, that's going to be it. So we don't want to make any mistakes. So we're just trying to make sure we are being very thorough on everything that we're doing for the memorials.
Are you still going to make your timeline for the
Yeah.
celebration?
Yep, we will definitely make the timeline.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Mary?
What did you say your running total is right now?
So we were up to 450. It's now we're 430. I think it's 432.
Okay.
So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty now, and Lynn has been, as you know, she's been pretty instrumental helping me, so. But I'm excited about it. We are having kids from the high school, and I have a couple volunteers that are helping us scan in all the records so that all of the records will be digitized. So anyone, if they wanted to look at one of the records, if they had a veteran in their family that was a Revolutionary War, they would be able to click on it and download their whole file from us. So we have all of their
That's great.
records available.
That's great.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Robin.
Yep.
All right, Harwich Conservation Trust?
Jan, did you want the 8 copies, or?
Yes, please. I know, greedy little person always asking for copies.
Good evening. Michael Locke, Executive Director of the Harwich Conservation Trust. Very pleased to report on these projects. I'm not going to read through every one as directed, but I'll summarize. We're doing great work together, this partnership between Harwich Conservation Trust and the Community Preservation Committee, reviewing and recommending these for voter consideration. Appreciate it. The first 5 on the report, I'm going to group them into 2 categories. The first 2 being recreation-oriented. Wonderful result out there on the Robert F. Smith Colebrook Preserve on Bank Street, in the heart of Harwich Port, as we like to say. Phase 1, Phase 2 completed. Phase 1 being the permitting and design and construction of the half-mile wheelchair-accessible all-persons trail. I was just out there this morning, and it was wonderful to see all ages and a senior fellow with a wheeled walker out there, as well as a young parent pushing a stroller. So connecting all ages to the wonderful nature in Harwich. Phase 2, the 100-foot boardwalk, also completed. On the reverse of your report, you'll see a series of aerial photos, and the third of which includes that half-mile wheelchair accessible trail and 2 bridges, so folks can see Colebrook that runs free for the first time in over a century. Those photos taken by our volunteers, Steve and Eileen Furlong. The next 3 projects, enumerated 3, 4, 5 on your report, have to do with land preservation that we've worked on together. From one end of Harwich to the other. The first starting out in West Harwich on Bells Neck Road, public road, very scenic on that sort of gateway on your way north towards the town's Bells Neck Conservation Land, 5 acres there next to Town of Harwich Conservation Commission land that actually has a cemetery on it, 1800 era. The fourth item there, North Woods and Water Supply Protection Project Center, North Harwich, adjacent to over 1,000 combined town conservation acres when you include both Harwich and 900-acre Brewster Punkhorn Park lands, and about 1,500 feet from public water supply well serving 10,000 households. So it's water protection, habitat integrity protection benefits there. And the third in this category, number 5, is the Red River Valley Land Preservation Project. So part of that scenic gateway for folks traveling from Chatham into Harwich on Route 28, bracketing Route 28. This property on the north side also has water supply protection element and protecting groundwater as it feeds into Red River. So downstream, of course, protecting the town's largest public beach, Red River Beach. Number 6 is still, each of those 5 all paid for, funds fully dispersed. Thank you very much. And thanks to the town accounting department. Number 6 here, still an article underway. It's about 60% completed through the funding, article number 26 from last year's town meeting, the Colebrook Trailhead and Public Access Project. We're working on rejuvenating the public access and creating that wheelchair accessible trailhead and scenic overlook with our partners, nonprofit Harwich Fire Association, as well as you should know that these grants for these trail projects also leveraged a $100,000 state mass trails grant. So trying to bring in as much other outside funding as we can. So we've got 40% to go on that project. We'll be putting the final coat of pavement down on that parking lot that's been pulled out of the 100-foot buffer, which is where the parking used to be, 100-foot buffer to the wetland, and new stormwater drainage swales to filter that water appropriately. We hope to finish that parking area this spring. I wanted to mention in closing that this project in particular, including the public access portions and the rewilding of a mile of stream, Colebrook, as it flows down to Saquotucket Harbor on Nantucket Sound, and restoration of 44 acres of wetland, which is helping the town naturally reduce its nitrogen and therefore reducing costs of taxpayers of expensive sewer treatment that would otherwise be needed in the watershed. This project's received 2 state awards in the past couple weeks. One, March 21st, by the Massachusetts Land Trust Coalition. Out of 13 nominations, this was selected statewide for the Conservation Excellence Award. And then just in the Seaport District of Boston this past Monday, the American Council of Engineering Companies in Massachusetts, out of 37 entries from engineering companies statewide. These are projects, major infrastructure projects. We're talking Logan Airport terminal renovations. We're talking bridge projects, and even a project in Saudi Arabia. The Colebrook project was chosen as the top, as its Grand Conceptor Award. Yes. So, and I want to say, by extension, it's really a congratulations to all of us. We all did this together in partnership with the town, the state's Division of Ecological Restoration, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, many scientists, consultants from a range of fields of expertise. As I mentioned, our partner, the nonprofit Harwich Fire Association, So we can do big things, and right here in town. So thanks so much. I'm glad to answer any questions.
Anybody?
I just want to say, Kathy and myself had met Tom, I think the last month, and toured Colebrook, and it's just wonderful. Because I'd seen it from the start when you were dredging, and so it's just nice to see from start to finish. I know you're still finishing, but it's really nice work.
Emily? Mary?
I'm just wanted to compliment you and the Fire Association. That whole section of Bank Street is just, while I do miss the occasional cranberry bog, it is just such a nice improvement overall coming down the road. And, I really think what a great partnership when it comes to the historic aspect of it, the housing aspect of it, and the ecological aspect of it. I think it's just, shows what can be done.
Art?
Just want to thank you, and my wife and I have walked the trail twice so far, and I'm really amazed at it, even though the difference between the first time we walked and just recently, how much has changed. And it really is a attraction for Harwich. It's a must-see when you come to Harwich. Besides the beaches, now we got this great walking trail here. And the acolytes you just won is just puts a couple of cherries on top of the cake, I tell you. So thank you. You're doing a great job.
Bob?
Yeah, it's my favorite walking trail, and I couldn't wait till it was open again. And it is truly amazing. The one thing is, I think you've underestimated the number of parking spots. On a sunny day, it is packed. And I hope some of the tenants will have parking spaces. But other than that, I do have a question. One of the goals was to help the nitrogen reduction. Will there be some testing over the next couple of years to see what the effect of the nitrogen reduction will be?
Yes, the town has contracted with TMDL Solutions as part of a 3-year nitrogen monitoring plan to gather that data that you just described.
Yeah, because it's a model for anything else we do now with that nitrogen reducing.
We hope that it's an approach that other communities could consider.
Absolutely. That's it.
Great. I have no questions for you, Mike.
Wow.
I know. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you all.
Yeah. Perfect segue for the Harwich Fire Association.
Vice Chair, members of the Harwich Community Preservation Committee, Bruce Young, I'm the president of the Harwich Fire Association. I have two reports, one for the historical part of the project that you funded first, and then the second part of this project for the interior affordable housing part of this. The historical part of this, the only thing that we have left to do outside is put up some of the exterior lights and to paint the trim in the doors. We've kind of held off on that because of all the work that's being done. We didn't want to bang it all up, so that's what we have left on the historical part of that. It did say in the notes here that the cobblestone, it didn't say it was paid, but that's all been paid for. The only thing that's left is the $12,000 for painting on the exterior. I do have one question about what you would like for a plaque on the outside of that for community preservation at some point, if we can get, if you have guidelines on that.
We're working on some additional signage guidelines, so we'll get back to you on that.
Okay, we were looking at putting up a bronze plaque for, on that building, somewhere on brickwork on the outside, but your guidance would be welcome. The interior, historical part of the, sorry about that. The inside of this project, you gave us $400,000 to finish the inside of this for the 3 affordable apartments. The fire suppression system, the alarm system, the insulation, the plaster, the cabinets, the flooring, countertops, all the bathrooms have been tiled. Some of the interior doors are starting to be hung. All the interior trim has started. It's been painted. We're looking for a July 1 finish date on this project. We have used $176,000 so far of the $400,000 that you awarded us, and we're looking at probably spending every penny. So you're going to be amazed when you see the inside of this building from what it was in the beginning. No one can believe how you can take something that was ready to fall down and you reuse this space for something that is going to benefit the town. 3 affordable apartments for some people that desperately need housing and the event space on the first floor. It's just going to be remarkable when we're finally done with this project. I know there was some apprehension from this board about funding this project, but I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised how your money was spent. Thank you very much.
All right, comments from the board. Marcy?
Just a great job, and I can't wait to see the finished product and get the tenants moved in. It'd be
Yeah, we
great.
can't wait.
Yeah.
Emily?
Again, great job. And when does the lottery, when does that all?
I was just talking with the Affordable Housing Trust. That paperwork is ongoing. We're waiting on the as-built for the parking lot. The final code of that has to be done for the state.
Martin, Marion?
Just reiterate what I said before. Congratulations and great job.
Thank you.
Art?
It's a marvel. I've been over there a couple of times, and it really looks great. You guys did a beautiful job. I do have a couple little questions, not derogatory or anything like that. On the main floor, your community room, when is that going to be available?
We're hoping to have everything done by July 1.
On July 1?
Yep.
Okay.
All the appliances, they've all been paid for and bought. We're just waiting to finish up to get all that stuff delivered, so.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Bob?
Again, fantastic job. Just curious, you've put a couple fire hydrants out on the side. Were those in Harwich at one time, or what's the history
Unfortunately,
of
no.
those? I didn't, okay. They look kind of weird.
Yeah, one was from Brewster.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the one that has the back standpipe on it, nobody can tell me where it came from. But Bob Dubus from Chatham donated those just as like historical artifacts to put in the yard.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice addition.
Yeah, I got to tour the almost finished
nice.
apartments with Marcy. Tom Evans took us up there. It's looking good.
It's getting
Good.
there. Yeah, I don't know when the last time you were in there.
Probably 3 or 4
Yeah,
weeks
it was,
ago. Yeah.
there's nothing in there.
There wasn't
It's
any
it was just
cabinetry or
like a-
anything like
yeah,
that.
Yeah,
nothing
all
like
the
that.
kitchen cabinets, all the granite's down, all the bathrooms are tiled, all the vanities are in. We contracted Whiteley to come in and start finishing up the faucets and everything that needs to be done to make it livable.
Great.
And they're electric stoves?
Everything's electric. Yep.
And then sort of the, in terms of the accounting part of it, have you been able to, I know you're doing it on a reimbursement type basis, is that correct?
Mhm.
Because I noticed that in the municipal report, there's still significant amount of your funding still in there.
There should be about 224,000 in there.
Okay,
We just took 176,000 out.
okay. Well, this was done as of 4/9.
Yesterday?
Yeah, and I don't know, I can't find it right now, so there seemed to be a significant amount still there, but I'm sure you've got it under control.
If there's more there than I don't know about, please let me know.
Actually, yeah, there was 389,000, but they might not have caught up with it just yet. so-
Yeah, because I think my updated number is 224.
Okay,
All
great,
right.
all right.
And
As
then
long as that's going okay for you, because I know there was some glitches for a while.
We haven't had any, as long as we submit an invoice,
Yeah,
we get our money within a week.
okay, great.
And I know that there was a little bit of issue, but weren't asking for any money, so
Right.
everybody was saying it's just still sitting there, you're gonna take any of this money, and it's like, well, we don't need it right now, so let's not.
All right, great.
So, thank you so much
Thank
for all
you
your
very
help.
much.
Thanks, Bruce.
Okay, is there anyone here from the Harwich Housing Authority? We're losing our members, so, okay, moving on. How about the Harwich Natural Resources Department? No takers. Harwich Rec is not gonna be here. How about the Monomoy All Sports Booster Club? Sorry to make you wait.
Quite all right. My name is Anthony Bowers, and I'm the president of the Booster Association. My predecessor and volunteer project manager for the Press Box project is here as well, Terry DeVoe. Even since I sent the letter into you guys this past week, we're actually in the contracting stage. We've completed almost all the bidding. It looks like Dan Clayton, who built the bleachers themselves, they come in with the best price, and they are a state contractor, so some of the procurement laws are obviated with that. Their price was $253, and that's all inclusive. It does not include site work or electric. with your grant and the matching grant from the Chatham CPC, and the Booster Club's donation of $50,000, we have almost 100% of that, so we're gonna move forward. And when the contract's signed, we will be requesting funds probably within the next, I'd say, 4 to 6 weeks as we execute those contracts and order this structure. And then we'll continue our fundraising through some volunteer services for some of the site work and electrical work. And I think the school budget's picking up some of the sound and Wi-Fi and internet access out there. So I think we'll get this done and hopefully start construction. I'd like to say in the summer, but probably more realistically in the fall.
Sounds good.
Sounds great. We appreciate
good.
it.
Anybody on the board have any questions? Thank you so much for
Thank you.
waiting and being patient.
We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Appreciate the report.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And I know that Penrose is not going to be here either, so, right, they sent in a report. All right, moving on to our discussion of the audit report. Most of us were there the other night. I think all of us except Bob. Missed a great one, Bob. I think the results of the audit report were kind of what we thought. The few outstanding questions that Renee had for us at our meeting in January, I think, was the $400,000 land grant, which we believe has been resolved. The double dipping of the land bank payment.
The last
and-
payment.
Yeah, and then, there was one other thing.
I think it was 2020,
Oh, right, how they were gonna address that.
Yeah,
So I,
there was one ledger entry
Yeah,
for
so
one of the years.
I think that she addressed those issues. It would be nice to see the report, the actual report.
Isn't that supposed to be this week? I mean, she had mentioned, okay.
We can hope.
Yes.
Does anybody have anything to add or any comments about the discussion we had with the BOS and the audit firm? Art?
I looked at it, of course, I'm the new guy on the board here, and why is it so complicated?
It's not.
I know it's not, but it takes up a lot of discussion back and forth and sideways, and can someone
It
just?
has, but there's been a lot of people changes, personnel changes,
Well,
and a lot of people come in with different ways of doing things. So regardless, we've got a baseline now. I think we can move forward. And I think that we're quite satisfied with the fact that there's no funds misallocated or anything. It's just a matter of what bucket they're in. And we can fix that and move forward.
no, I think the audit was worthwhile. It cleared the air, and it made it, understandable, and what happened, and it was just obviously because things changed and you didn't have the continuity. And continuity is important, and things like that. I
Yep.
hope they realize it.
Right, right.
Anyways.
All right. Bob, any,
No
No more there.
comments on that.
Marcy?
So they mentioned they were getting a new finance director. Would we
Mhm.
want to meet with them at some point once they get their feet wet?
Yes.
So just to be on the same page.
Sure,
So we're not doing this a couple years from
Sure.
now.
that would be ideal. Emily?
No, I had the same,
Yeah.
I had the same thought, and if there's a check-in process, I'm sure you already do that on a
Mm.
yearly basis, but.
Mary?
I think we have tried to meet with all the finance directors, and it hasn't necessarily worked in our favor, but I think we continue to try to do
Right.
that. The one unfortunate thing is I wish we had the report before tonight just to confirm numbers, but based on what she reported with the $400,000 land grant being in the undesignated fund, it does require us to make, I thought it was only one, revisit one of our motions for town meeting. I think it's really 3 to revisit for town meeting, to just clear up
Okay, that's our next,
some of those motions. So
our next thing.
other than that, it's nice to be on I think we're almost there,
Right, okay.
so.
Moving on to discussion and possible vote regarding articles of the 2025 annual town meeting warrant. We put this on because of the results from the audit. We need to change the funding source of the housekeeping true-ups. And then that sort of forced a couple of changes just in where money comes from, not the amounts or anything like that, just whether it's, FY 2024 certified, or if it's gonna be
Undesignated.
anticipated or undesignated. So Mary has a couple of motions, so if you want to start with the housekeeping?
Sure. So basically, as I just said, the 400,000, based on the way we had done our motions, would have had us overspending. So to do the housekeeping motion, I'd like to revisit that motion so that I would,
Do we have to vote to revisit it, or can we just revisit it?
why don't we vote to reconsider the housekeeping motion and then revote the housekeeping motion?
Okay, do we need to vote to reconsider all of them? Or do we have to do this each time? I want to do it correctly.
So I think we could, I think the chair could entertain a motion to reconsider the motions for
2, 5, and 8.
Sure, 2, 5, and 8 that we had voted in the last, when we originally made our motions back on March 13th.
6.
March 6th.
So, I'm sorry, 2 would be the housekeeping for the true-up, 5 would be the Affordable Housing Trust, and
This
6
is the rail trail.
would be the rail trail, and it is strictly to reconsider the funding sources that are funding the amounts, nothing more.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to reconsider those 3 articles to change up the funding sources. Is there a second?
Yes, second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, we're going to start the reconsideration.
Okay, so I would say with respect to the housekeeping for the true-up of prior year funding for open space, historic preservation, and community housing reserves, I would move that we vote to approve and allocate the following additional funds into the open space reserve, historic preservation reserve, and community housing reserve from FY 2026 anticipated revenue fund balance to ensure the individual reserves reflect prior year revenues from FY 21, 2022,
She's got this written down,
2023,
right?
and 2024.
Oh, so, okay, just one second, Mary.
Yep.
So what she's basically doing is taking this sentence,
Right?
and changing it to FY 2026
See, and I can give
anticipated.
you my markup afterwards.
Okay,
All
so
right.
I'll take your paperwork
Yep.
and you won't ask
Okay,
me.
is there a second?
Second.
Approve.
Did you get that second?
Yeah, Marcy.
Okay. Marcy, yes. Is there any discussion on this motion? You ready for a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved.
So then I would move that we look at the Affordable Housing Trust funding sources. Bob, I know you had recused yourself on, when we had taken this the first time.
Okay.
Did you need to do that this time?
I should, yes.
Okay.
You want me to leave?
I don't think you need to leave. We're just,
it's
we're
fine.
changing the funding source. We're
Yeah,
not
it's
having a
fine.
discussion of anything other.
So I move that we approve $500,000 for the Affordable Housing, Harwich Affordable Housing Trust, consisting of $679.20 from FY 2024 Community Housing Certified Balances and $153,320.80 from FY 2024 Certified Undesignated Balance for the Affordable Housing Trust.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this motion?
I'll second the motion. Oh, it's already been seconded.
Yeah.
Thought so. I heard it.
Any discussion? Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions, opposition?
I'm either recused or
And-
abstained. I'm not sure which.
Bruce, stuff.
I don't know. Abstain. One abstention.
Sit up.
All right, so moved. Moving on.
Okay, so third, I would move that we revisit the funding sources for the Cape Cod Rail Trail, which was OS1. So move that we approve $500,000 consisting of $382,879.83 from FY 2024 open space certified balances and $117,120.17 from FY 2024 certified undesignated balances to fund the Cape Cod Rail Trail project.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. And
But-
does,
Good for you to jam.
does everyone understand what we just did? We're just moving the funding sources and we're taking this all out of certified funds. This is different from what we've done in the past. In the past, we were using anticipated revenues for everything. The only thing we're using anticipated revenues for right now is those true-ups. And that's just because we're short on the undesignated right now, so we want to make sure we have enough to cover everything. So, yeah.
If I could, I can give you the balances of what, based on the votes that we just took, the FY 2024 certified undesignated, after all of our votes, should be $1,030,047.10. We would have zeroed out our FY 24 certified open space. Our FY 24 certified historic will remain at $534,305.24. And our FY 2024 certified community housing will have zeroed out, with all of the amounts coming out of what our anticipated revenue is, the numbers that we had based it on that were in that original spreadsheet. The FY 26 undesignated anticipated revenue would appear to be $788,225.70. And then our three buckets, as far as the dollars that we're putting in at this town meeting, would be $620,581.51 in each of the three buckets, which would be our funding for this year.
I don't
So-
understand this, it says 600.
So we originally had put in the 270,000, which was our article number 1 in the
Oh.
housekeeping. We're adding to that 270, the 350.
Okay, so that
581.
number is gonna be like added to like historic, so that next funding cycle.
It should, yes.
Historic will have over $1 million in its bucket.
It
Is
should.
that correct?
So my question is, what I'm unsure of, whether this will be added next year or 2 years from now.
Oh, okay,
It might be 2 years from now based on the way the revenues come in.
okay,
Because you won't know that number until then, so.
okay. All right, well, housekeeping is done.
But on a good note, we still have $1 million in undesignated that we haven't spent. And we still have 500 in historic and that we haven't spent, so.
Moving into next year's
Moving into
cycle.
next year, where we will have more certified revenue that come in.
Plus the 400.
Plus the 400 is gonna go into the open
space,
space,
right,
exactly.
Moved, okay,
And
great.
rescissions
The
and all
land
of that,
grant, you
so.
mean? The land grant, the 400.
Yes, yes, we moved into the correct space, okay, great. All right, the Harwich Annual Town Meeting. Everyone knows it's, May 5th or 7th?
May 5th.
Is it Monday the 5th?
Yes, yes. Everyone should attend if they can.
Yep, be there.
With any luck, we'll be on night 1. We'll see. Jan will be sending an email out to all the applicants, asking them to show up to answer any questions. And we'll just take it from there. We'll have a little report at the beginning from the CPC and just an update, and then hopefully review the articles, and with any luck, most of them or all of them should pass. Does anybody have any questions or anything about the upcoming annual town meeting? in terms of our role? No?
What time does it start? I can't find it on.
It
Usually
starts at
7.
7.
Okay.
Late.
Is it Monday?
Yes.
We do start on
Yes.
Monday?
Yeah, we do.
I'm getting confused
Yes.
between my two towns.
Right, well, you won't be there, right? You said you have.
I can be there on Tuesday, I can't be there Tuesday.
Yeah, okay.
I can't be there the second night.
All right. Okay, updates, social media, Facebook.
I'm working with Cindy on a couple things, and then I have a bunch of posts that I just have to finish up and get over to everybody, so I'll do that
Okay.
for you guys to look at, and then we'll have a bank of things. I just haven't had a time to finish.
All right, great. No update on the website. Does anybody have anything else that they'd like to discuss tonight?
Just
Yes, Mary.
one question. Jan, are you gonna post a meeting for us for the 2 nights of town meeting? We typically post a meeting in case we need to meet.
Can. So 6:30?
Yeah.
Probably 6:30.
Yeah. I
At
think
this
we-
point, if we have an agenda suggestions for this meeting,
So it's just to discuss, I would say it's just to discuss items for town meeting. I mean, I don't know that you have anything else. We do it every year, so whatever we've done in the past, I would
Right,
say we should do
do you have to
it.
reserve a meeting room, though?
I have to ask Community Center.
Right. Okay. All right, so that's just sort of a safety kind of,
It's a safety thing, that's
safety
all.
backup, okay.
Are
Hopefully we
are
won't
there
need that.
any things that y'all are concerned about at this point?
No.
Okay.
Does anybody have any agenda points for the next meeting or something that they want included on the May meeting's agenda?
Could we add reviewing the report of the?
Sure. You add that,
Uh,
Jan,
audit.
the audit report?
Not a problem. The second the second Thursday is the 8th.
Which is the week
We
of
have the
town
meeting
meeting.
room scheduled,
Yeah. we'll have our
same week as
usual-
town meeting.
Yeah, we usually have our regular meeting.
Not a problem then. Okay, May 8th. Review report, if we have it, from Renee.
We'll have it.
We should have it tomorrow.
We'll have it.
What about Amy from Conservation?
True.
She's coming. She asked for a delay. Cons report update. And we had talked about grants.
Yeah. I'm not sure we're ready to have the grant discussion, but one thing we might want to discuss on the agenda is if we have any applicants that absolutely refuse to submit a report or come to a meeting to give us an update, you know, should we think about rescission of money if it's 3 years or longer? I mean, you know, we have some guidelines, they're not, you know, particularly difficult to follow, but we've been having some trouble getting some, you know, reporting in. And it would help us sometimes make decisions about some other things. Oh, another thing that we'll probably have is some possible rescissions. Because I know recreation will have a rescission.
We do have one we could do tonight.
No, we can't, we don't have it on the agenda.
Okey dokey.
So
So rescission.
we may have a little bit of money to rescind, and that needs to be an article, I mean, a agenda item.
22.
We want to do those before June
36.
30th, because then they get
Yes, we
captured
want to
in
do
this
them before
revenue.
June 30th. So,
So I'm gonna put that pickleball,
yeah,
pickleball, basketball,
Yeah.
10 something,
right,
10,000 something. Mm-hmm.
okay. That's it. That's all I have, unless somebody has something else. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.